A WWE departure has been confirmed. Another one could be taking time off of TV for an extended period of time. And we're going to talk about some ROH news. It's all coming up right here on The Ango Show. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to kick things off with some very interesting news surrounding Paul Wight, formerly known as The Big Show. Maybe you don't watch Ring of Honor, and hey, I wouldn't blame you. It's not easy access unless you pay, it's under a paywall and everything like that. So we're going to talk about this because, it's been revealed that Paul Wight is now part of the Ring of Honor board of directors. And, actually, I think this is a good thing. I think Paul Wight being an on-screen character for Ring of Honor is great. I think this guy is totally respected. I think people respect him in a authority figure role for television. Obviously, we know that Paul Wight is not going to be wrestling actively for AEW or Ring of Honor, but it kind of got me thinking. To me, this kind of seems like a reset for Ring of Honor, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think I've been paying a lot of attention to pro wrestling in general these days, enough to know that Ring of Honor, it has its issues. And I've been saying for a long time that Ring of Honor should be developmental to AEW, very similar to what NXT is to the WWE main roster. But I think right now we're looking at Ring of Honor as kind of getting revamped, right? And I think that's a good thing for Ring of Honor. I think it needs to be revamped. I think Tony Khan has definitely dropped the ball with Ring of Honor. It basically took on the role of AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. I think, there are some good storylines that happen on Ring of Honor TV, but at the same time too, when you look at the paywall and, it requires a subscription and stuff, I think it kind of sucks. Now, obviously, with AEW in talks with Warner Bros. Discovery, you have to be wondering if Ring of Honor will get a TV deal at some point, because if they do get a TV deal at some point, I think there will be a renewed focus on the Ring of Honor brand, and there should be. Look at what WWE has done with NXT. And like this is a good example. NXT is getting paid a lot of money to be on the CW network, right? WWE is getting paid a lot of money to have Raw on Netflix, a lot of money for SmackDown to move to the USA Network, 3 different TV partners. I feel like AEW, Tony Khan, they should be kind of doing the same thing, trying to get money to put Ring of Honor on TV. And I think if you put Ring of Honor on TV and you stop treating it like AEW Dark, yeah, I think people will buy into it. It's got a great roster. There's some good storylines. There's definitely some good matches that happen on there. But there's just a very weird, blurred, distorted vision of what Ring of Honor currently is to the AEW program. Champions going back and forth, inconsistent use. Yeah, I think this is a good thing. Paul Wight, board of directors, people will respect him. People will like him. I think he'll be good in this role. If I'm Tony Khan, I would start gearing towards trying to get a TV deal for Ring of Honor. Forget about watch ROH or Honor Club or whatever you want to call it. There's literally a pay-per-view tonight for Ring of Honor and people aren't talking about it. That's a problem. And that's not something that typically happens with Ring of Honor. Even when Tony Khan bought ROH, people were always at least talking about the pay-per-view. So I think it just goes to show you how important it is that they get Ring of Honor back on track. Let's talk about Pat McAfee. It looks like Pat McAfee could be stepping away from the WWE yet again. And this is a little bit unfortunate because you guys know I'm a huge fan of Pat McAfee. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted that while it's not confirmed, it is to be expected that Pat McAfee will take time off again from WWE during the football season. Now, this is clearly just speculation, and that's why there's a huge question mark on this topic. But we know that Pat McAfee right now is going back to College Game Day. So between the Pat McAfee show, College Game Day, he's got a lot of stuff brewing in ESPN, and then you got to factor in Monday Night Raw. Yeah, there is a good chance that Pat McAfee could be taking time off, and quite honestly, I hate this. I get it, but I hate it, and the reason why I hate it is because I think Pat McAfee makes commentary better. I think if it wasn't for Pat McAfee and this new regime, I don't know if Michael Cole would be as loved and respected because, well, yeah, they don't have Vince McMahon in their ear, but for the most part, like, it doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem scripted. Like, these guys are on commentary, they're joking, they're laughing, their reactions are genuine. Like, I don't know. There's just it's such a breath of fresh air that it's gotten to the point where if you replace Pat McAfee, the dynamic changes a little bit. And I think Michael Cole has really, he's always been a spectacular commentator, but I think when you look at it from this perspective, this version of Michael Cole with Pat McAfee It's just miles beyond. And I absolutely love that. I love that WWE Raw, it's a 3-hour show. And before, like, we would see commentators come in and they just weren't that great, or maybe they weren't as like personable, maybe they weren't as fun, maybe they were like too much with the corporate speak. I don't know. But there's a night and day difference. And obviously with Pat McAfee, like, this guy is going to be part of the WWE family forever. It is very clear that his relationship with TKO and the WWE is very strong. But you do have to wonder, like, what happens, right? You know, and who do they replace him with? So it's definitely something to pay attention to. Obviously, Pat McAfee has not confirmed this to be the case. I also wonder if WWE is brewing a storyline between the guys from the Pat McAfee show and some NXT talent, because there has been some references made to that due to the DLC in WWE 2K. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this topic, and more specifically, I would hope that he is not actually taking time off, because last time he did, it was noticeable. And that's going to bring us to our final topic, another WWE departure. This one's actually pretty big too. Let's talk about Beth Phoenix. It looks like she is done with the WWE, and granted, Beth Phoenix is not actively on WWE television. However, PWInsider.com has reported that her contract has in fact expired. It is unclear as to whether or not she is interested in joining AEW, or even if AEW is interested in her. It's also relatively unclear if she has plans to continue wrestling in any capacity. But it looks like WWE has allowed the contract to expire. And based on some of the rumors and stuff that's being said online, WWE is okay with contracts expiring and then not picking them up for negotiations or whatever. With Beth Phoenix, look, like, she's fantastic, man. She is fantastic. And, you know, I talk a lot about a bloated roster, but there's just certain signings that you should make if you're AEW. And at a time where there's actually some serious momentum for their women's division, I think it would be right to bring in Beth Phoenix. Maybe not full time, maybe not a 3-year deal, but try to get at least 1 or 2 programs with her. It would be a no-brainer. Beth Phoenix leaving WWE is not necessarily shocking, because they don't really have anything for Beth Phoenix to do. And they didn't really have anything for her to do, you know, even when Edge was retired or whatever. So, you know, Edge, Adam Copeland is now in AEW. It just makes a lot of sense for her to be in AEW. AEW has a light schedule. There's a lot of pros for her joining AEW, and of course they could pay her a lot of money, and you never know, they could do some really cool stuff on TV. But she is gone from the WWE. Not necessarily shocked. I think I'm just more curious as to more of like the inner workings of, did WWE even try to bring her back? Like, what was that situation like? I don't know, obviously. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Beth Phoenix gone from WWE. This is your boy Ango, and I'll see you next time.